and generally the goal is always to make sure that we are getting and extracting perfect form out of every client first. And then once we see that that form is perfect and the weight is moving and everybody's doing great, then we can kind of play around with it a little bit.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Metabolic Academy Podcast. I am joined by the original co-host of the Metabolic Academy Podcast, Lynsey Abbale. Lynsey, welcome back.
Feels good to be home. Feels good. Tim tries to fill my shoes in many assets of this company, but as always, I have to come back and save the day.
Yeah, Tim's been quite busy designing workouts. He's doing more coaching these days himself, which is great because he's a phenomenal coach. But it's no disrespect to Tim. He's great, but there's never another Lynsey in many areas of life. So
I love Tim.
Yeah, Lynsey, I mean, why don't you update the people? It's been a little while. You've had some kind of it's been about a year and a half since you were on the podcast. It was probably around regularly. I mean, you and I filmed a few episodes during the beginning of COVID, and then like you and I do, we kind of waned off a little bit, and
that's it.
I think we can't use the excuse because all we had was time. So I don't think we can use that as an excuse, but that's neither here nor there. So what's been going on? What's new?
Yeah, it's been a little while since I've been back on here. So Gino is 2 years old now, 2.5. He's doing great, wild man. It's so much fun having a 2-year-old. That for me is like my favorite. This is my favorite age so far. He's just such a blast. Had daughter, Josephine Grace. She was born in September, so now I'm the mom of 2. So that feels good. Completed the family, shutting the farm down. We don't want to be outnumbered. I do not want 3. 2 is good. Man on defense or offense or whatever sports term that is. That's the biggest thing going on right now. And just back in the gym a little bit, which has been fun. Coaching a couple classes, which has been good to just kind of like get my feet wet. I know you've been coaching a little bit too, which it's the best part of the job.
Absolutely.
It's the best part of the job.
It's by far the best part. I mean, it's the reason, Metabolic is what it is today. Yep. It's, a lot of it's because, you and I, and soon thereafter, Drew. A lot of people don't know Lynsey was actually the first. You were the first coach I ever had. And some people, if you don't know, when we started at our original location in Menands, 1,200 square foot room, I rented another 1,200 square foot room, and Lynsey would be in one room every morning at 5 and 6, and I was in the other one, and that's how we did it for probably a better part of a year. We did it that way for about 9 months or so, and then Drew kind of joined the fray. But if you remember, Drew never taught the early morning. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, no.
You and I did every day, and then I would take,
right.
I would split off with Drew for the rest of the day. Yeah. But Drew, he was probably 22 or 23. He was young when he started, and he was in the college life, so he would take naps. He would fall asleep on the couch in the middle of and we had a little office area. He would sleep in there between classes. He just wasn't, and look at him now. He's up at 3:30 every day.
Morning. He'd rather teach every early morning and then be done.
I mean, we do have some of our younger guys who have voiced that they prefer the evening shift, which is fine. I think they're crazy. There's no way. I mean, I have, a 4-year-old son as well, like you. Do you find that that's hard sometimes at the end of a long day to get home? And women are way tougher, so you probably don't, but I have to have pep talks with myself sometimes, pulling in my drive, like, all right, you have to bring energy right now. It's like coaching a class. It's going to be easy to sit on the couch and watch YouTube or watch sports, but you've got to go down and wrestle with him. You've got to play with him. And it's like, I love my son. He's great, but he's 4.5. So he's a goddamn lunatic.
I can't even
he's
imagine.
A lunatic. He's just a lunatic. Yeah. So he wants to go. So
they want your undivided attention.
Please make me feel like less of a terrible father.
No,
that's normal.
No, I absolutely do. Gino also, he's an early riser, and he's like me, where when he wakes up, he's like he's up. So like for me, it's like at 5 a.m. where he's like, Mama run, Mama jump, Mama chase me, and I'm like, okay, this is our time. Yes, I can do it. And I'll like be chasing him around laps at 5 a.m. just because like but yeah, at the end of the night too, it would be so nice. He's at least old enough now where I could put on a movie and like he will watch it, or like Bob the Builder. He's very into Bob the Builder right now. So like I could put that on and he would watch it. But yes, I'm like, no, be a good mom. Like, we'll run around, do laps. Also, then it helps him to fall asleep.
You heard of that show, Ryan's World? Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it, but I saw it once because I think Kaden was watching it. And Gino hasn't watched it yet.
Where you heard of it.
Gino, go ahead. And it freaks me out. Ryan's dad is weird.
Well, the whole premise of the show is odd. Karen and I let him watch it because, he's an only child. He has no siblings. Like, I'm just going to be completely candid and honest when it's
so Ryan is
6 o'clock at night and you're friggin' tired, man. It's like, if that's what he wants, that's what he gets. It's not inappropriate to a child. It's just odd because this little boy and his twin sisters, they grow up in front of like a camera's like shoved in their face.
Sure.
And it's kind of documenting their whole lifestyle. So it's interesting. And I go to Kara, I'm like, this is kind of screwed up. Like,
it's kind of weird.
She's like, I know. And I'm like, so, but he likes that. He's into all sorts of things. So, and you'll see that changes. And flows about in time. But a couple kids later and here we are.
And here we are. It's a whole new world. It's funny. I actually feel like, I'm literally 2 years behind you with Caden, but I remember Caden in our old offices sitting while Kara would work out in the new class watching The Grinch. And Gino he's like into The Grinch this year. You know what I mean? Like, he really thinks it's so funny. So I feel like I got a little bit of prep work from you guys. So I got to like watch you guys with Caden, and then I got a little bit of the path figured out a little bit more.
What's funny because kids today, they have so many choices, right? They can choose anything and everything. And Caden's like, he was having a little like temper tantrum, fatigued or whatever, like the week before Christmas. I want that show. I want this show. I was like, dude, when I was your age, I had 3 TV stations. Yes. I wasn't allowed to watch them. I could watch PBS Sesame Street. And like my mom loved PBS. It had to be on PBS. So we watched Sesame Street, all that. And then if we were very well behaved, we got to put in a pre-recorded VHS Christmas movie. Like that was our reward.
Right.
And so I've tried to like get him to watch some of the old classics that I would watch. Yeah. And he doesn't really like the Christmas movies because he wants to watch everything he can watch at all times. And so I was just like, But oddly enough, he loves like villains and like evil characters. It's very weird.
He's gonna be fine.
Yeah, please tell me that. But there's this one Christmas movie I'd never seen it. It's like Frosty in the 4th of July or something.
Okay,
it's the summer
it's like a
Frosty.
claymation or something.
Yeah, it's like Rudolph in the 4th of July or Frosty. Anyways, it's a claymation, and it's kind of like a weird movie with like some really evil characters in it. He loved it. Watched it start to finish. I was like, all right, well, this is the Christmas movie. We're gonna watch this. We're gonna get. But I was tangenting off that because he does also. The new Grinch is good.
It's so good. The Illumination one or whatever.
It's really good.
You make me laugh because Brian has those conversations with Gino now. Like when I was a kid, we didn't get to watch. But the other day, it was after Christmas. It was Christmas Day, I think it was. So Brian and Gino are in the toy room playing. And I'm just listening in, and Gino was like, he's in this, like, it's my phase. Like, that's mine. So I hear him say, that's my truck, Daddy. And Brian was like, actually, everything in this house is ours. I'm just letting you borrow it. And I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah,
like,
here we go.
Here we go. It's happening. Yeah. You don't pay rent in this house. Yeah. It's like,
I always joke around with him. I'm like, well, who's the boss? And he goes, Mommy's the boss. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
He knows.
I'm the big brother you never had.
That's right.
But here we go.
Right.
So, yeah, it's great to get caught up with you, Lyns, and it's great to just, reconnect on this podcast in this format. I think one of the things we really kind of hit our stride with this podcast, we really centered it. Of course, outside listeners, like you can learn as much as you would like to about metabolic, and we can certainly help educate you. I think that's great. I think really, we're up to almost 3,500 clients now at our various gyms. We're opening our 9th studio. Mm-hmm. Shout out Abbale Pollock in Boston Spa on January 31st. We're really excited about that. We already have over 100 members signed up, and awesome. It's not even the new year yet. As we record this today, it's December 28th. My brother turns 40 tomorrow, so I know the date. And he's been pretty good about that. But so I think we really just wanted to center this on helping our clients, providing value to our client base, giving them the ins and outs of metabolic and any issues they might have that can help educate and provide value in that way. Yeah. So we have a little Q&A. We segmented it a little bit, not in order of when they came in, but in order of topics. As always, I think we have 7 or 8 questions here. The first couple relate to nutrition, and we'll just dive right in, and we'll kind of segue out from there. So the first one, Lyns, and we can play off each other and read one to each other if that's how we want to do this. Why do you guys count protein and calories instead of all 3? So once again, why do you guys count protein and calories instead of all 3 macros?
I think, it's something that we decided, to kind of move towards more of just counting calories and protein instead of all 3 because it creates more of a lifestyle. And at the end of the day, that's what we're looking to achieve, something that people can, when they start this program with us, it creates a well-balanced lifestyle that you can maintain forever and walk away from without any of that like neurotic, I can't have this, I can't have that. We can have it all. We're just balancing it within these calories and protein. And I know like for a while when we counted, carbs, fats, proteins, and you're trying to fit everything in, it's just it takes so much mental fortitude to kind of check in on all three of those macronutrients. Whereas when you're just focused on your calories and making sure you're hitting a decent protein intake, it just allows for so much more flexibility. And we have busy working parents, we have just busy working people that we want to make sure that you can be successful with the macro program and not feel defeated or like a failure, but still get great results, because at the end of the day, that's what matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for the listeners who don't know, so macronutrients are calories. We've come to realize that protein, 4 calories per gram, carbohydrates, 4 calories per gram, fats, 9 calories per gram, right? So when we prescribe our clients all three macros, we're really giving them very specific caloric intake guidelines, okay? Right. So of course, if you just say to someone, you can have 2,000 calories today, 1,800 calories, I mean, without disregard for protein, you're really negating some of the recovery they can have, the satiety they can have from feeling full.
Sure.
Helping the muscles get prepared and recover for the next session and grow stronger. We don't want to discount protein. For the most part, I mean, unless someone's going super low in fat where it's unhealthy and unsafe, that's kind of rare, especially with people just starting out. Because if you give people a little more autonomy over what they eat, I mean, my son is probably one of these people, because Caden eats, if left to his own devices, he eats Greek yogurt and produce, and he gets his fat from like chocolate.
Right.
And like that's his like diet. It's kind of like my diet.
Yeah.
It's very clean except for dessert. So
get that.
Yeah. So giving people that freedom and that choice, like you said, and really trying to get down to what matters. Are we trying to get on a bodybuilding stage here and get 5% body fat? Or are we trying to get into a healthy body weight range with a lifestyle that we can sustain over the course of time? Right. And this is exactly that. So when you look at your caloric intake, easily control that. That's a number people can get around. And you look at your minimum protein count, pop a metabolic protein shake after class, we're good. You can really make sure that we're getting what matters and what we need to get in there.
Right. And I think with the protein too, I think most people, the majority of people don't get enough protein in their daily, especially if you're an active person. Yeah. So and there's such a difference between like 200 calories of chicken and a bagel, which is, like 200 calories. So like in terms of like using satiety and
a lot better.
Right. Depending on the preparation, I guess. But I think by giving that protein minimum, it also brings a lot of awareness to how little protein a lot of us are eating, and it is so important. And you're amazed how much better you feel, like you said, how much more you've recovered, the energy you have in the workouts, the way you can have that push. It really makes a big difference. So bringing awareness to that is a critical component.
Yeah, I think the protein we prescribe to people, typically around a gram per pound of body weight, lean body weight especially. Yeah, I think honestly, it's probably a touch more than you need. So what I find is though, with that prescription, it's that satiety for me.
That's it.
It's just feeling satisfied and full after a meal. I think getting that protein count up there is super important.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. It's got a little thermogenic effect too. It takes the body some time to break that down.
Yeah, and I think protein is not processed the same way. What Lynsey's referring to is it costs the body energy to digest and process protein. Right. So a diet that's compromised of protein is going to basically calories won't count quite the same way.
Right.
Your body's not going to kind of absorb most of those. You could say the same thing, in maybe not quite as much to that degree, but to some degree about processed foods too. They're more easily stored. It's very easy for the body to store them. Yeah, very easy to break them down, very easy to store than like a sweet potato or something like that.
Right. That's why they say like celery has negative calories. Although Shannon Mastrangelo, did you see it is? But she, one of our clients, Shannon, she had a funny meme that said, whenever somebody eats celery, she thinks like, what do you want to eat? Chew water mixed with hair or something.
I hate
it's exactly
celery.
what celery is.
I don't like celery.
It's like water and hair mixed together.
The only way I like celery is if it has ants on a log with peanut butter and raisins on it, like I used to have in 1988 during my school lunches.
The old school days.
Yep.
Moving on to this, the next question that we had that kind of goes hand in hand. Somebody had wrote in that they're starting macros for the first time on January 10th. What goals should I shoot for? So the question was, what goals do you think people should be shooting for?
Yeah, this is an interesting question only because to me, at least, goals should be personal. Right? I mean, without knowing much about this person, I think I'm going to take a guess at what they mean. I think they're kind of asking what their expectations should be. I think I'm going to go with that because, I don't know if they want to gain muscle, lose weight. Sure. I don't really know their situation. An 8-week macro cycle, the way you need to view it is if we're at the top of a mountain and you're starting your descent down the mountain, we need to build a snowball to roll. An 8-week mountain macro cycle, a good one, is going to get you enough momentum where if you keep putting in the work, you can continue rolling that snowball down the mountain. It's not going to take you all the way down the mountain to your goals. And I think once we've kind of educated clients to that, we're doing you a disservice if we don't educate you that this is a start. Yes. You can make certainly great progress in that time. More than how you feel or how you look is how you feel. I think you're going to feel fantastic.
Yep.
But I think just putting that focus and that mindset around it might take you longer than 8 weeks.
It's definitely going to take you longer.
To hit your results to hit your goals is fine. Again, I think taking pride in not taking the short way, not rushing, where you're really getting into that restrict binge cycle. All my macro clients out there, they know how I am with this. I'm very tough on people. I do not like undereating during the week because it invariably leads to binging on the weekends. And when I say binging, I don't mean like, listening to like an Oasis song in a closet with a thing of Oreos. Like that's not what I'm talking about. I more mean overdoing it, and like I did for the last 2 weeks during Christmas. I more mean
eating
that.
To the point where you feel sick.
Yeah, or even and even just on a more extreme end, yes. But even just just overeating, just intuitively, just by 1,500, 2,000 calories, which is not hard to do. It's very really not. It's very easy to do. So I think it's amazing when you eat a little more during the week, how much more you're able to kind of temper it on the weekend a little bit. Just, of course, you're going to go over, but just that little bit that matters.
That balance, finding that balance.
I think your expectations, honestly, if I'm just going to take a shot in the dark here, say you're, a 5'6" female, 40 years old, looking to trim off, 20, 25 pounds maybe, get into a more healthy body weight range. I mean, I think a pound a week of weight loss is like a great rate of progress for most people. I think, larger individuals, I think 1% of 0.75 to 1% of your body weight in weight loss, if you're trying to lose weight, is aggressive, but great. And even 0.5% is great. But I think if you're trying to just be consistent with your nutrition and feel better in the gym, which I hope a lot of you are, then I think your expectation, you control that, right? Like you just expect that if you hit your numbers daily that your coach prescribes, you're going to get great results and you're going to feel good. If you're up and down and all around and 200 under and 200 over and 300 under and 400 over, which we experience, I mean, at the end of the day, I wouldn't expect to get great results.
Right. I always say that there's nothing magic about joining the macro program. You can't just pay for the service and then the results come. You have to put the work in. So it all depends on what we do. You know what I mean? So like Matt said, if you're consistent with hitting your protein target, you're consistent with hitting your calorie goal, you're checking in with your coach consistently, having good back and forth feedback, you're getting your workouts in the gym, you can expect to feel really great. Forget the scale, forget the measurement, like all of that is going to come, but you can expect to feel you can expect to feel stronger, you can expect to have more power in the gym, you can expect to feel more efficient in your workouts. But if you just join the macro program and you don't check in with your coach and you're up and down and all around, you can expect probably to feel kind of the same in 8 weeks. So it's really up to you what you put in and then what you get out. But if you do it right, you can expect to feel pretty great.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say about that, and just piggyback on that, I think you just got to be honest with yourself and just keep it real. You know, like if you hit your numbers 3 or 4 days a week and didn't the other days, you got to own that. Because it's not enough, and it can feel. And I'm going to relate to you. It can feel like enough. It can feel like you're doing enough, but it's not enough.
Right.
And so you just have to just be honest. Intake what you're inputting into your logs, you got to keep that real strict, real accurate.
Right. From a coach too, if you're not, I always say to my macro clients, the most important thing that I need from you is honesty, because if you're telling me something that you're not actually doing, how can I then coach you to be successful? Because we do make tweaks and changes and there's recommendations that we can make. But if you're not telling me the truth, then I can't properly prescribe you the right path to take, because I don't even know what path we're on. So honesty, if you're joining the macro program, the honesty is whether it's a great day, whether it's a not so great day, whether you're killing it or whether you're not, be honest with your coach, because they can help you. But if you're not honest, then they can't help you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's enough about macros for right now. We can get into more workout related things. The next question is, why is core strength so important?
Your core is like the center of a bridge. You know what I mean? So it's basically going to help protect you from injury, and just it stabilizes you top to bottom. With core strength, though, I think a lot of people just think like crunches and abdominal workouts, which all of that is great because it will help strengthen your core. But core strength, it goes right. I mean, when you're doing a squat, your core has to be strong. It's going to protect your back. It's going to make sure that you're utilizing the muscles in the right way. So your core, it's literally the center of the bridge in everything else that we do in metabolic.
Yeah, and I think there's that phrase, you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Right.
And honestly, just focusing on consciously bracing your abdomen during those RDLs, during those squats, during those overhead presses, keeping things nice and tight in there. Well, you might hear our coaches say, tighten your core. It's not my favorite coaching cue because I don't think a lot of people know what that means. Sure. And the best way I can describe that is by saying, brace your stomach. I mean, I grew up with a brother.
Right.
We've grown up with brothers and maybe sisters too, but my brother and I used to punch each other in the stomach as hard as we could and make muscles.
Boys are so stupid.
And flex our stomach muscles to see who could take it or whatever. And it's actually a pretty easy punch to take if you're braced. Sure. So it's very similar to that feeling of doing that. But a lot of people don't know what that means. So I think really educating people about that. I mean, like you said, it's the center of a bridge. You're going to have back pain. You're going to have muscular imbalances. You're gonna have a litany of injuries. Your body's a kinetic chain, so if it senses that, you're gonna have overcompensation issues. If your core is weak, you're gonna develop upper cross syndrome because you're gonna be constantly like rounding forward in the upper back. Yep. So it's important aesthetically, functionally, and just keeping you healthy and safe as you age too. So I think that it's important for those reasons alone, but it's the limiting factor in your overall strength in the gym. Yep. Is your core.
Yeah, it's funny coming back postpartum. So like I said in the beginning of the podcast, Joey's 3 months old, and I'm rehabbing my core right now because obviously when you have a baby, your abs separate, which is a natural thing that happens. So you got to kind of pull it back together. And it's amazing, my legs still feel as strong as they ever did. But, when I am doing an RDL, because my core is still damaged, for lack of a better word, I very easily will compensate with my back. And instead of feeling things in my hamstrings, I'll feel it in my back. So I'm rehabbing the core for that reason, or for, a goblet squat, a front squat. The limiting factor for me right now is my core stability and my core strength, because I need to rebuild it. I didn't use it for the last 9.5 months. But once I start to feel it back together, and each week I can feel my core getting stronger and stronger, and each week I myself am getting stronger and stronger. And my goal
it's
as
a lot of translation.
My goal as now a human that is going to be postpartum for the rest of my life is to be as strong as I possibly can. Like, I can't wait to get super strong. And it starts with getting my core stronger. You know what I mean? So making those mind muscle connections of, internally rotating my hips, even just like, kind of bracing my core with everything that I do, because that's going to translate down the road to make it so that I can goblet squat with a strong weight again, and I can front squat, and I can RDL. But it's got to start with my core stability and strength.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different theories about this. I'm not a big, if you're looking to do extra work, you can only plank so much, and you can only, honestly, I mean, I'm just going to keep it real. We do shoelace sit-ups and V-ups and things like that in class because it's great active recovery between stations. You get a little bit of direct abdominal work. But if you're going to sit there and do like crunches and reverse crunches, it's very similar to holding 2 soup cans to your side and like fluttering your arms up and down, trying to develop strong, developed delts. That's not, for most people, going to get it done. And it's the same type of thing. I like the more intensive movements. I like one-arm planks a lot. It's stuff that's really going to challenge you.
Sure.
I like loaded planks. I like driving down with intention in an RKC plank. Pulling your elbows down, but actively pulling it. I like things like that. So
the hollow body holds. Where you're really
with
intention, where you're really kind of pulling and bracing and feeling the abs. Making sure that the small of your back is staying on the floor while you're crunching your abdominals.
And a lot of you, candidly, you try to challenge yourselves by bringing your feet lower, but you're actually doing yourself a disservice because you're going to hyperextension and your lower back's leaving the ground. Yes, your feet are physically lower, but you're losing contact. And when you lose that contact, you're losing that abdominal crunch. So it's definitely something we want to watch. But I think closing that point out, the biggest thing is just bring your core along for the ride. Keep your core tight, keep everything engaged on a front squat, on an RDL, refuse to let it come apart. And over time, it will get stronger.
And when you're doing those core movements, make that mind-muscle connection. So before you hit that RDL, think about that same feeling that you felt in that RKC plank. Make that active and then hit your RDL and
100%.
Feel the difference that it makes in your glutes and your hamstrings when your core is braced. You know what I mean? I think this is a good one for you, Matt. The question was, what is the thought behind each month's set of workouts?
Well, it depends on what the year is. Back in 2012, 2013, I would figure it out while I was driving into the gym. I would think about it in my head. It always came natural to me. They were always great workouts, very balanced. But I'd write them on the board at that time.
And then I'd run and write them in the front room.
What do you mean by that?
And I would ask after the first class. Sorry, Tori Marticello. I screwed up a couple times.
We got it in, though. Great overhead sandbag, reverse lunge, by the way. Always will remember that. So there's a lot of thought that goes into this. Honestly, I think we've done so many podcasts now. I'm sure Tim and I have done a podcast about this that we could reference. But in a nutshell, in an elevator pitch, basically, Tim and I sit down. We come up with indicator lifts for an 8-week period of time. We pretty much break the workouts up into higher rep or lower rep days. We just want to give the central nervous system a break. We don't want to beat people up too bad with heavy loading. We try to choose templates and movements that match up to the goal of that day very well. We try to pick templates that aren't very similar on back-to-back days. That's an old practice, that I've had where I try to keep the variety component fresh for the clients. But really from there, it just comes down to the workout time. I'm not going to divulge every secret here, but we have a specific time range that we try to get inside of 2 minutes of. I would even say, honestly, 90 seconds on either side. We try to keep it really tight with the total workout length. And from there, honestly, it really helps to have someone else to program with because you and I have programmed together. Lynn's, like Tim and I have programmed together. I'm sure Tim's bounced some stuff off you. It's you have your own way of thinking and your own way of doing things, but when you can work collaboratively with someone else, you kind of get the best of both worlds. And of late, Tim and I have found a really nice flow with that. Right now, we're kind of digging these full body workouts. We're really into these. They've been going really well. We're actually going to be doing them for our next block as well. People are getting a lot stronger. The joints seem to be doing really well with them, which I've noticed and like. And just want to kind of keep it going, in that way. But there's a lot of thought that goes into them, gang. Again, we don't want to go too deep into it, but you would be amazed how much thought and time goes into each day's workout, looking at the blocks in general, looking at the weeks in general. And Matt has this incredible master document that goes back to like the beginning of time that we will reference to see when was the last time we did this workout, what workouts have we doing around it to make sure that like everything, it's truly, when we say that metabolic is a strength training workout, it really is. The way that we design and that you and Tim have designed these workouts are based on the basic strength training principles of, and it makes a difference. So, you might wonder, why, like there's little things like even yesterday we did a hamstring leg curl on our TRX straps and then it went right into a bent over row with then the standing row variation. And, when I got out of the straps, I ran over and I wasn't even thinking, but my hamstrings were getting lit up going back to back in that way. It was a brilliant. That's why they're sore today. Bro.
That's it. It was a brilliant pairing that to the naked eye, you wouldn't even think about using the hamstrings on the row. You're thinking, I'm just I'm rowing. I'm using my lats, I'm using my back. But Matt and Tim do think about those things and will pair things up purposely in that way to make sure that you're really getting an efficient workout and the most bang for your buck.
Yeah, a couple other little nuggets, little tips that we do. On Saturdays, we kind of like to keep it moving, a little bit. Most people are a little fried by that day, weight-wise, but they want to kind of move around.
Right.
Monday is kind of the opposite. Monday, we try to ease into the week a little bit. We know people are a little more social on the weekends. They're not necessarily looking to do, like a puking kind of workout on on a Monday, but to kind of get a little weight moving on that day. And then the middle of the week, it's fair game for almost anything. So there are no rules. There's only guidelines we can use each and every day that we do it, but there's a ton of time and a ton of thought that goes into it. I mean, Tim and I were in the office yesterday. We got, I think, 2 workouts done, and we were talking for about an hour and 10 minutes.
Right. So, and there's also times where like we've done, and this is the beauty of us all doing the workouts as well, where we'll do work. I'm like, I didn't love the way that pairing worked out, and take notes on that and then adjust moving forward so that you don't make the same mistake twice, which I think is also
the
critical.
Flow of the exercises one right to the next is critically important. I mean, not just for equipment being used, but you got to factor in core strength. Grip strength is a huge one. We're always thinking about grip strength. Sometimes we purposely pre-fatigue movements. Sometimes we don't. It just depends on a bunch of things that we'll probably get
how much
to.
we're on the hands or shoulders.
Exactly. In another podcast. So, Lynsey, do all of our studios do the exact same workout? That's the next
all
question.
of the studios do the exact same
What happens
workout.
when you don't?
And if they don't, we find them. No, it's actually, I think that's one of the coolest things is we have a lot of like families that do metabolic, you know, both within the same household, but also like different households, you know, aunts and cousins and uncles and brothers. And the cool thing is, you know, you might have an aunt in Clifton Park and you might be working out in Green Island, and they can talk about the workout because they're doing the exact same thing. There's always some autonomy as trainers and as coaches. You know, there might be some different, you know, maybe Courtney
some Lynn's.
There's some autonomy.
I'm gonna call you Miss Autonomy.
Sometimes
Queen
I like
Autonomy.
to change things up. I've gotten a lot better since the old Clifton Park days. To any of my OG Clifton
Hide the
Park
bands, hide the foam rollers.
To any of the original Route 9 crappy Clifton Park box gym members, I want to just send a quick apology to you all because we didn't have back then I got a little crazy back then. I may have taken a little too much autonomy of the workout. I was actually having a memory of Anders, if you're listening to this, when I had him running against the wall. I think we were supposed to be doing mountain climbers, but instead I had him put his hands into the wall and like drive his knees towards it. And I remember the wall shaking and I was like, oh shit, he might actually knock this wall down. And then I had Lee and Kara also with their hands on the floor, feet on the wall, doing the mountain climbers that way. But so there may have been some autonomy at the time, but we all survived. But no, right now everybody does do the same workout. Like I said, there might be some things that we change up. Like maybe if there's a floor jack, you know, we might be having some of the guys do a push up in with their floor jack. Some of the ladies might have a mini band, or they might, you know, so there's a little change up here and there.
Yeah, we like to describe it as we're going to give our coaches the recipe. They're all going to have their little bit different amounts of salt and sugar that go into that recipe. We do give them a little bit of freedom with some movements to have fun with it, but they receive daily instruction. Yeah. I'm not telling you how they get it, but they get it. In video format of the workout. Tim breaks down a 10-minute explanation video. He breaks down proper form on each movement. He answers questions they might have. I mean, it's gotten really serious to a level where we do pride ourselves in uniformity and consistency of the workout. Yeah, and generally the goal is always to make sure that we are getting and extracting perfect form out of every client first. Right. And then once we see that form is perfect and the weight is moving and everybody's doing great, then we can kind of play around with it a little bit. Right. We've also talked to our coaches about, you know, we have our indicator lift now. And in the past, like, you know, we may have done crazy things throughout the workout, but now that we've really drilled down on the indicator lift, trying not to do something that's going to take away from clients' indicator lift, or do a challenge that's going to take away from that lift, and make sure that we're always, you know, keeping the base of the workout. An example of that might be if we don't want coaches having clients do burpees on a day where we're doing floor presses in between stations, because that's going to smoke their chest and their shoulders. Right. We want them fresh and performing well. Exactly. All right, so next question, how do we choose our coaches here at Metabolic, Lynsey? Honestly, a lot of our coaches started out as clients. I would say most of them. Yeah. There's maybe a few, but myself included. Most of our coaches started as clients, and we have, you know, put out ads in the past and done things like that. But generally speaking, you know, metabolic is something that we pride ourselves on, our coaches and on the quality of our workouts. Matt has said this before. We don't have fancy bells and whistles and lights and, you know, all of these different things. We have our workouts and we have our coaches. And the beautiful thing about when our coaches start out as clients is
they sincerely believe in this style of training. Right. And when you sincerely believe that this is the best style of training, then it's easy to then deliver a great product. Not easy. I'm not going to say easy. It's actually, it's quite difficult, but it's easier to deliver a quality product to the clients because you're not faking it. It's right. You sincerely believe that. You feel it. You want the clients to get better. You've worked alongside of some of them. So I'd say the majority of our coaches, they start right in-house, and it starts out as something that they just really love to do, and then it develops into their career just out of passion.
Yeah, I think honestly, as I think back on it, we have 9 studios now. Mm-hmm. I think only one of our studio managers was not a client originally. Yeah. I think only one. I think it was Angie.
Yeah, I think
she
you're right.
was the only one.
Right.
I think maybe Molly.
I think she was a client for a day or two. Like she had, maybe a week.
I know Angie came in for a job interview, and that's how she kind of got introduced to it, and it worked out from there. I think the rest of them are clients, though.
I think you're right.
I'm 90% certain about that. So honestly, like Lynsey said, there's a lot that goes into coaching. You can teach people that, but you can't teach them as passion.
Right.
So that we get a lot of our clients from there. We've done Instagram ads before, run stuff, and we've gotten some good. We got a great hit off that. We have Kyle Melnick out in Syracuse. We found that way.
Phenomenal.
And through was it what do you call that? Indeed.
We
found Kyle.
Yeah.
So he came to us through there. So we've got him all sorts of different ways.
Right.
All
Especially
sorts of
as
different
we
ways
kind of moved
have worked,
outside of market.
and all sorts of ways have not.
Right.
So it's gone every which way.
I've got quite a few that have not, but
Absolutely.
That's okay. We learn. So Matt, here's a fun one. What is your favorite part about coaching?
I love coaching so much. I really do.
Yeah.
And I've recently got back in the gyms a little more. I was feeling an absence from it, and I'm the type of leader that I like to always be in tune with what people are feeling and see if things have changed or what are these, and I'm talking about our coaches to make sure that what I'm asking for of them is realistic.
Right.
From being back in the trenches, I can assure you what I asked them to do is very realistic, and we are going to continue to make sure they do that for you hardworking folks out there at Metabolic. I think the biggest thing that I love doing is bringing people to new places they didn't think they could go. And honestly, it's not even the physical for me.
Sure.
It's seeing people overcome mental hesitancy or fears, and they're seeing their confidence and their sense of self-worth improve because they did something they didn't think they could do.
Yes.
I experience that feeling almost every day that I coach, whether it's getting off your knees on a push-up, negative, or staying in a plank position with your feet in a strap, or getting your knee to ground on a lunge and you didn't think you could.
Right.
A lot of our objections and things that hold us back in the gym have a basis of fear.
Right.
And as coaches, if we can safely strip you of that fear and extract what you didn't think was possible and make that a reality,
it's powerful.
There's so much power to that. And there's so much life to that, because that's what life's about to
100%.
me. And just really digging into that with people and getting them to find out about themselves in that workout. And I know this probably sounds very corny and cliched, but that's the truth for me.
The best.
And that's what I love to do.
Yeah.
I think it's boring to go coach a group of people who don't want to be coached, who are just want to kind of get run through the paces.
Right.
If you've ever taken my class, I won't do that to
you.
But for me, it's just, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. I say it every day I coach. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And you're going to get worse some days.
Right.
And that's okay. But it's the intent and the effort to get better that's really going to keep it separate. How about you, though, Lynsey? What's your favorite part?
Yeah, it's very similar to you. And it's funny, going to the question before, in interviews and times when I've talked to different coaches that have come in, or different people that have come in looking to coach, I've said, if you don't have a passion for helping people, this isn't going to be the job for you. Because a lot of people look at it and they think loud music and sports clothes,
you're
the center of attention.
Yeah.
You get to be, this personality out there, and it's so much fun. You get to work with Drew Smith and all that. And then when you get into the trenches, if it's not 100% about the client, and if you don't love helping people, the job gets old really quick, and it'll never get boring, but you realize how hard it is, and that's when people tend to not make it in the industry. But similar to you, it's working with the people and just seeing that, just giving them 45 minutes to forget about life outside of those 4 walls and just be able to focus
and turn it into a living hell.
And turning into a living hell.
Just kidding.
No, and just give them an opportunity to just release.
Right.
You know, when you help somebody to escape for 45 minutes, I think now more than ever, just letting that mind go to a different place and
just want to take a shower.
All I want to do is take a shower. I actually might just go and shower in Green Island just so that I can take it without a kid.
You really should.
Just for 40 for however long I want to take a shower. But honestly, it's just watching people let go. And like you said, I remember when I started strength training with you, and I think that's what developed my passion as a coach so much. But it was when I started doing things that I had never thought in a million years I could do, whether it was a squat, whether it was a floor press, whatever it was. It translates into all other aspects of your life. What else am I holding myself back on? What more can I do? And so to your point, when you're working with a client, you're pushing them through a hard set, when you get one more rep out of them that they didn't think that they could do, and they drop that weight and they look at you like, oh my God, I just did that. There's power in that. There's so much power. And it's the best feeling in the world.
As I get older, another thing that I do candidly enjoy, I love the psychological challenge of trying to unlock people.
Yeah.
And this is an old guy coach thing for me saying this. This is not the 28-year-old version of myself. This is the 41-year-old version of myself saying this. I know we have so many different personality types in the gym, and it's a real skill, and it takes experience, but you got to be able to figure out people quickly.
Right.
You got to know what motivates them. You got to know how to motivate them. You got to know
why are they here?
Why are they here? What do they like? What don't they like? How do they like to be addressed? What don't they like? You got to figure these things out quick, but it comes from, and you make mistakes.
Sure.
I still make mistakes daily.
Always.
For sure.
Yep.
But you got to try.
Right.
You got to try.
Yeah.
Because this workout is for them.
Right.
And it's their experience. And you can sit here and say you're providing personal training in a group setting, but are you really providing personal training in a group setting, right? And I think our coaches could stand to listen to that too. Are you really doing that?
Right.
Or are you saying that you're doing that?
Right. How are you making it personal for each person in that room?
And it's not personal for you.
Right.
It's personal for them.
It's not what you like.
What do they like?
What they
do they want? And and what are their goals?
Yep.
And working towards them that way. So yeah, I think this has been great, Lyns. I know that, you and I, we tend to get it popping, and
we can talk for hours.
Later, here we are, another episode of the Metabolic Academy Podcast is in our belts. But I think for Lynsey, I'm gonna sign off right now. Appreciate it, guys. As always, we really do appreciate. We haven't gotten any reviews in a while because we haven't released a podcast in a while.
Haven't had a podcast.
It's been a hot minute. If you guys could take the time to just leave us a 5-star rating and review. If you're gonna leave us something else, we don't want that one. You don't have to leave that.
5 stars only, please.
5 stars only. We're on iTunes and Spotify as well. Now, Spotify is actually a really cool platform to listen on if you haven't tried that as well. We really appreciate you guys' support, and we'll talk to you guys real soon.
Thanks for having me back, guys.